Welcome everyone, welcome back to the Jumper Punch. It's round one of the men's footy. We're back to do two games. I'm joined with Rocco. How you doing, Rocco?
Good, mate. Good, mate. I hope you're doing well. I hope everyone's doing well out there. What a week it's been for the Blues, eh? All over the place, up and down, good performances, big wins. It's been a big week, mate.
Oh, it has been a massive week, hasn't it? I mean, the men kicked us off. We've had the girls set the world record score in AFLW.
Yep.
It's been a proper Carlton week because you don't quite know what's going on, do you?
100%, man. You couldn't have said anything more truer. It is a real Carlton week, man. We're just all over the place. The emotions are all over the place. And even with the men's game, which we're going to talk about first, the men's game, the emotions are, they're up and down, man. Don't know where to go with this.
Yeah, I mean, let's digest into the men's game. And obviously, we got close to the reigning premiers, but in the end, I would say it would probably be a fair assessment to say that Richmond just had too much class. We worked very hard. They probably worked smarter than us. And you saw that they had the legwork in the final term. But all in all, I know this is probably controversial to say because the Carlton forums are going mental at the minute. Evidently, Carlton were 40-plus favourites to win this game. But I think there was a hell of a lot more positives and few negatives for me, and I'll back that up a bit later on in the show with why. But how did you see it?
Look, I'm the same. Look, after the game, I watched the game and, I went to the game. And let's just start there. Going to the game was magnificent. Went out, took my son. We went and had a beer. Not my son. He had a lemonade. I just don't. Everyone come at me. All right. He went and had a lemonade with me. We walked all the way to the G, and it was just magnificent. And we get there, and the ground looked superb, and the first bounce, the excitement. So that was fantastic, and everyone's back at footy, and this is what we love. This is what Melbourne was alive Thursday night. You could just see it. It was alive. So then we get there, and with the game, as I left, I was disappointed. I was disappointed because I thought we should have and we could have won that game. And again, I find that we're kind of doing the same things again as last year. And now that might be controversial with other people, but I just found that we kept doing the same mistakes, and we can go over a few things, you know what I mean? Like I'm going to be a bit negative and then we'll go into the positives, right? The last 7 minutes of the game, we didn't have a forward 50 entry. The last 7 minutes of the game. It was after, I think it was Dow or someone missed and got a point. And then after that, we did not enter forward 50 for the last 7 minutes. You know what I mean? We got smashed out of the centre again. And if you look at it, we did the same with St Kilda. So it's not just 1 week. It's a couple of weeks now, Again, the same as St Kilda. The last 7 minutes, they score 3 or 4 goals on us. You know what I mean? It just seems like there was a few little things that we continue doing wrong. You know what I mean? And we've got to stop do that. We can go through quarter by quarter, and there are. It's not just one moment, right? There's 3 or 4 moments, right, in each quarter, one after the other, where they're just silly mistakes. In the first quarter, McCain misses a shot, then McCain misses a mark, Dow misses a handball, wrong option, and then missed mark from Williamson. And then Setters misses a shot. And this is all within like 5 or 6 minutes, right? And then Richmond go and kick a goal. So it's not just we do one mistake and then they move on. We do 3 or 4 in a small period of time, which cost us, right? It's the same with quarter 2. It's the same with quarter 3. Quarter 3, there was a massive. Quarter 3, Walsh goes banana and he misses. All right. And you go, all right, he misses it. He goes for it. All right. But that's one, At that point, Carlton's last 8 shots, this was in the third quarter, was 1 goal, 8 points. You know what I mean? SPS misses a target. McKay misses misses a goal with around the corner. You know, Cribbs roves the ball and he misses again. McKay, 15 metres out, misses when he plays on. This is all in a period of 5 or 6 minutes. We had 5 or 6 opportunities, and again we miss every single one. You know what I mean? So I don't want to be Mr. Negative, but there are certain points that we've got to fix. And if we think we're going to do anything, good sides don't have these lapses for 5 or 6 minutes where they do one mistake after the other. So that's my little rant, you know what I mean? As much as I thought they played well, I'm still thinking there's some serious issues there with the Blues.
I mean, I always find stats really interesting because people look at things and people can make their own assumptions on it. But I think people forget that you are playing Richmond. Richmond aren't Collingwood. Richmond aren't Geelong. Richmond are a well-oiled machine. They're probably one of the best structural sides in the comp, one of the best sides that are playing and the application of pressure. And I think what people forget is, like, you've mentioned all them stats. Yeah, okay, Carlton kicked, 1-8 at one stage. Well, they were under tremendous pressure against the best in the business who do it week in, week out. And I think if we actually look at the actual makeup of the game, before we get negative on it, we at the start last week, I said we had to play really well and Richmond had to be slightly off. We're a final side. No one's mentioned flags. Anyone who's judging this side on a flag is balmy and probably needs to go and watch fly fishing, because it ain't going to happen this year. We ain't going to win a flag. And that won't even be the aim internally from the club, and it shouldn't be the aim from us. No. You've got to be in it to win it. Once you're in finals, anything can happen. But you can see Teague wants to play the 8. So based on what I saw, I think the most telling stat for a Carlton fan is they had 75 inside 50s. 34 of them were long bombs. They weren't traditional Richmond work it out in. They were next to nothing inside 50s. And I've seen that stat being used as Carlton fans saying, we got peppered. That stat says Carlton 2018, Carlton 2019. It shows a side that's under a lot of pressure in the midfield, can't get that link into half forward, so they kick it long. They kick it long and hope for something to happen. And you don't often see that, which I think Carlton fans should see as the biggest positive in the world, because I'm telling you now, there is not many teams that can take the lead, be pegged back, take the league and peg back and keep doing that. Richmond are one of 2 teams in the AFL that potentially can do that. Carlton would have won any game they played this week had they played with that intensity and vigour. No doubt about it. They would have got up.
Look, I agree with you, and that's a good stat. Always you come up with a good stat, Tom. I like it. You always kind of jab us with a good stat there, and that's a good one. I agree. And as I said, I think there's a lot of good that come out of the Blues there. The Blues play some good football, and they brought it right up to Richmond. I'm not doubting that. But those moments that I mentioned just before, right? And there's more, you know what I mean? In quarter 4, in quarter 3, there's so many of these moments. They're moments that we weren't under pressure, man. We weren't under pressure in these moments. You know what I mean? The McKay kicks, the Walsh going the banana. Just there was the missed handballs. They're moments that we could have taken and we didn't. And again, it's not just one moment, it's one after the other, Pom. It's one after the other for a period of 4 or 5, and then Richmond come back and they do what they do. They do what they do, you know what I mean? They kick 1 or 2 goals and that's it.
I disagree about pressure, though, because Carlton never led on the scoreboard. So at the end of any quarter, we never led. So for me, that is pressure. Scoreboard pressure, in my opinion, wins you football matches.
Yeah, but not at those moments, Pom. I'm telling you, you look at those moments, man, they were moments.
You're telling me against the best side, probably statistically, Richmond are in an argument of being the best side ever play the game.
Ever.
You're telling me there is no pressure when you are right near. Near beating them.
I never.
What they can do. You're telling me there is no pressure because I think that's balmy, bro.
No, I never said there was no pressure. What I did say was they should have taken one or two of those moments, and they didn't. There was like a 4 or 5 moments, like one after the other, that they missed. I'm not saying that you can take all of them, but they did. Like, you give me the McKay ones. The McKay ones should never have happened. He should never have played on. You know that. And the one that really got me, forget about the playing on. He might have thought that he was a little bit more under pressure, that he had the chance. What about the one where he takes the mark 30 metres out, right? And he does the banana, or he does around the corner. All right, he does around the corner. I accept that. He does around the corner, but he did it within 5 seconds. Why didn't he wait his 30 seconds? I mean, these are moments that, like you say that, oh, we're playing the best team. Yeah, we're playing the best team. But the way we beat the best team is we don't fuck up so many moments. That's my only issue with it. You know what I mean? I understand we're playing Richmond. I understand that they're the best side going around. You know what I mean? And us winning was probably odds against us. I understand all that. But we had chances there to put some more pressure on Richmond, and we didn't take them. Now, is that because we're not experienced? Some of the players are under pressure. Some of the players are under pressure for their own career. Yes, maybe all that. All I'm saying is, if we don't fix up those kind of little things, we will fall behind. And we lose to Collingwood this week, mate. We're 2-0 down, and all of a sudden we're on a knife's edge. You know what I mean? So anyway, look, I think there was a lot of good points about Carlton. Don't get me wrong. I've just started on my little rant about the things that I thought could have gone right. But you know what I mean? I still do believe we're going in the right direction. Teague's got a good game plan. The moments that we were pushing and we kicked those goals and we linked up and we ran, they looked fantastic. And I understand that because of us being such a young, not so much young in age, but young in the way we're playing our game, I understand that might take a little bit of time. You know what I mean? That's good. But I'm hard on him, man. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I just noticed. So that's it. I don't know, man. So that's.
I mean, obviously they didn't take the moments, but I do think it's a learned skill. These boys, to be fair, when you're playing Richmond, you know what you're going to get. You know it's going to be tough. Oh. There's some moments there that, they are unforgivable. McKay running on when he's in front of goal is madness to me. The 30-metre one out, though, I understand that from a science point of view, from a sports science point of view, he does naturally hook the ball. So to me, I think 40 metres are...
Pom, just wait a sec. I don't mind that he went around the corner. It was how quick he did it. Like, if you notice, he did it within 5 or 6 seconds, and there was a Richmond player that got in front of him, which made him pull the kick, right? He had 30 seconds. Go back. Set yourself up, right? If you look at the Hawthorn game, he did that last kick. He did that. He went back. He waited. He set himself up. The umpire, everyone moved out of his way, and then he went for his shot. I just think that there's those little moments, you know, like all he had to do was wait 10 or 15 seconds there, and he would have had less pressure on that kick.
I just think it's Harry's way. He likes to play quick, and I think it probably makes him feel safe. And
then Harry, change your ways, mate. Wait 20 seconds.
I mean, that's what Richmond do to you. I think people forget, and I'm not making excuses for them, because there is some stats that I'm not happy with. But I do think you've got to cut them some slack that Richmond, we have never seen Richmond since probably the elimination final go to their top level. So, and I think that's what Carlton fans are missing. It's all right, people saying last year it was the same margin, the year before they beat us.
No, it's different games.
Go back and watch 2020 and 2019. Richmond were in training mode. Like, Richmond could have killed us by about 100 whenever they wanted to. They probably just had respect for Carlton that they didn't. This last 5-minute spell was, I hate to say it, I enjoyed watching it. I've watched this game 5 times now. Even though it was horrible to watch, it is literally it showed us what we need to be. 100%. And you saw the difference in teams. 5 minutes to go. Our mindset was, uh-oh, we've been here before. We can't win it.
Yeah.
Richmond's was, we smell blood. Let's finish these guys off.
And that's how...
And that is something that it doesn't matter if we cry, we shout on fan cams, we punch walls. You can't force it. It's a learnt skill. It's a learnt skill. And the only way these boys will learn it is by getting over the surprise of winning. Is the difference. Richmond are used to winning, so they can now be ruthless. You can't just go into a game and be like, we're ruthless. That is something that these boys will learn when winning becomes a habit. When they get used to winning, they can start being arrogant with a win. But, I mean, all in all, the stat that worries me, and this is the big one, is for the first... We had the lowest amount of tackles ever by David Teague inside 50. And that is a worry because against Richmond, we covered it with Jayden Short. We know Richmond's way, Basher Hooley. We know that if you don't keep them deep and you allow them to advance up the ground easily, it's game over. And for me, a lot of them tackles were too late. They were too far back. Usually Teague's sides traditionally average 13 tackles inside 50. We had 2. So that is a huge drop for Carlton. Even when you look at losses, we average more, obviously, because we're working harder. That was a concern for me because I felt like we weren't hungry enough, which is where I think is a shame because our midfield pressure was so good. We've talked about the large amount of inside 50s which Richmond just kicked, bouted with 2-0. I thought the forwards, they put a lot of pressure on Richmond, but I just felt like that forward pressure just for me wasn't enough against this side. And that is why we tired, because it meant the midfield and the defence had to work overtime to keep that game close. And to me, moving into the next game, that's a concern.
Yeah. Look, and I actually... That's good, man, because I'm on your wavelength here. I actually wrote that. There was only the 2 tackles in the forward 50, and I found that very unusual. You know what I mean? Like, we shouldn't be doing that. The other thing I found, I kind of wrote this, that, and just with goals, if we get 4 of their smalls, Caddy, Castagna, Rioli, and Arts, we can say they're a couple of 4 of their small forwards. They kick 7 goals 4. Yeah? I'll give you 4 of ours. We'll just pick 4. Murphy, Gibbs, Fogarty, Fish. 2 goals 3, and 2 of them were by Gibbons. You know what I mean? So we relied so heavily on those small forwards, and they really produced skata, which in Greek means nothing, right? They produced nothing, you know what I mean? So that was a bit of a concern too. We still ended up kicking 80 points, so we're doing something right, you know what I mean? So, but unfortunately, those small forwards not only didn't kick goals, they weren't putting on the pressure with tackles and that, so, and keeping that ball in the 50, you know, and that's a concern too. But in saying that, I think they'll fix that up this week, you know what I mean? They'll definitely see that deficiency and they will fix it up. But yeah, we didn't get what we should have got out of our smalls, you know?
It was tough. It was tough. I mean, we've talked about them. Let's grade them. So
let's grade them.
It's the first week of votes. So as you can see there's Pommy's votes there for quarter by quarter. But that turned into my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the final for the full votes. I gave 1 vote to Fogarty. I was very impressed with him. I thought he joined the Carlton crew, bought into it. I enjoyed his tackle pressure, and he looks to make something happen. 2 votes, Jackie Noons. Just everywhere was Noonsy. He makes me tired watching him, I've got to say.
Hey, he's mate, people always think they talk about Nooms being the first one to be dropped when we got to bring someone, but man, he's in our 22 full stop.
And 3 votes, Adam Sard. Thought Sard was brilliant. He did his job really well as well. He stretched them. They play a deep forward press. He looked to take them on. I thought particularly in the second quarter and the fourth, I felt like he was our most dangerous player on the ground at times.
Yeah.
I felt Richmond were really scared of him, and I'm going to be looking forward to seeing his development in the blue shirt. For Patrick Cripps, I thought he was brilliant, particularly in the opening exchanges, and I also thought in the fourth he knuckled down as well. Just had that one bad quarter, which was the third for me, but he was under a lot of attention. But 5 votes for me, absolute superstar in the making, Sam Walsh. Yep. We've got a player there.
Very good, Pom. Yeah, that was very good. I like that. And you're right about Walsh. He is a superstar. And I'll start with mine. I gave 1 to Sard. He definitely deserved it in the votes. And look, with these votes again, man, they could be all over the place because we did have a lot of good players, I believe. You know what I mean? There was a lot of good efforts there. I gave actually 2 to Curnow. I think he was tough around the ground. And if you watch his game, man, he's in and under. He's doing the hard work. So I gave 2 to Curnow. I gave 3 to Cripps. I thought he started like a house on fire. And you're right, he had a pretty dismal third quarter. But he did come back in the fourth. But I don't think he was that instrumental in the fourth too. So he got the 3. I gave 4 to Nunes. I thought he was consistent through the whole 4 quarters and he works hard. He works back and forth, man. I'm really impressed with Nunes. Nunes is my son's favourite player, if you believe it, that he's chosen Nunes as his favourite player. And 5, of course, Walsh is an absolute gun, man. The way he just can break tackles and just get away and then run on the outside, he goes deep inside the packs. Man, he's definitely a star, and I love Walsh. And yeah, he got my 5.
Well, I mean, they're big votes. I mean, just a brief look at the leaderboard for both of us now. That gives Jack Nunes actually leads your polls already.
Yeah.
So, a bit biased there, maybe. Nunes, Walsh, Cripps, Curnow, and Sard make up the top 5. And for me, I've got Cripps, Sard, and Walsh in a tie.
Oh, nice.
For first.
All right,
Nunes
we like
and
it.
Fogarty. So, I mean, could be an interesting year ahead if they keep doing that.
No, well, that's it, man. I'm just going to not go. I'm not going to go with the grain. I'm always going to go against the grain. I look at it a bit different at my games. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So that's it. Yeah. So that's good. Look, as I said, man, we had a lot of good players play the game, man. They did their job. We had a lot of good moments in the game, and as I said, I was actually, for most of the game, I was really excited, man, watching what they did. There was a couple of plays there where they just linked up and kicked some goals, which I'm thinking, mate, we're winning the premiership, man, if we can keep this up, you know, like. So, yeah, no, look, overall, I think after watching the game and relaxing after 24 hours, I was happy where we're at, you know, I was happy.
Well, talking about being happy, who should have stayed at home this week?
Well, they should have, and now saying that I was happy with a lot of players, there was a few players that should have stayed home, you know. So what are we going to do there? And it was a bit tough for me. But so actually, you mentioned probably Sauce should have stayed home. We don't need injuries. That was Pommy's word before.
Yeah, stay at home, don't get injured. You know what I mean? Save yourself the pies. Hopefully you get better soon, though. Yeah, he had a great game to J-Sauce. It was a good 2 quarters.
It was a good 2 quarters. And if you look at him, he had like 9 possessions or something, or 7 possessions, and he kicked the goal. And he looked really good, so really a shame at him. And then there was a bit of an argument that I could have actually picked Casbolt. But after watching the game, he didn't play that bad. There was a couple of moments that you pick. So, you know, like I like Casbolt. But to me, unfortunately, it was O'Brien. He's kicked that first goal. So we're going to take away that stat, which was over the top. And he did do a lot of work to get there. So he would get the goal. But after that, I mean, in the second half, he only had 0 possessions in the third. And he had 2 possessions in the last. And one of those possessions, we know which possession that was. That was the one where he dropped the mark and then he kicked it over the head and they turned it over and it was a direct goal, you know. So, unfortunately, I have to pick someone. So, O'Brien should have stayed home, mate.
Tell you what, I'm surprised you picked anyone this week.
Yeah.
I would have probably been in the camp of bottling it this week, but Lockie O'Brien.
Mate, we have to do the hard calls, mate. I've got to pick someone. So unfortunately, if I believe you're the worst, you're going to stay at home. So look, O'Brien, he was all right, but seriously, he should have stayed home. Anyway, I'm going to pick someone every week. So watch out, Blues.
Lockie O'Brien, first male recipient of this illustrious tag. So go well next week. Hopefully, Lockie O'Brien gets a chance of redemption for himself next week. With every sadness, we always have some positives, and the guy we're going to pick on this week is for player of the day, and that is Mr. Paddy Dow. He had this absolute fabulous crumb from Jack Noons's long bomb inside 50, just hang out the back of the pack and Setterfield there with a great vision. This is what I loved as well, you know, at the end of it, everyone getting around him, Paddy Dow saying, come on, get around it. Like, I like that. And I was impressed with Paddy Dow's game. I was happy with what he did. 18 touches, 3 tackles, 1.1 goals. It was a fair game. For me, that is the minimum requirement of Paddy Dow.
Look, 100%, man, and I've got nothing against Paddy Dow. He actually had a good game, man, and you're right. He did. He's since he's come in, the practice match and then the couple of practice matches and this match, you're right. He's done he's done what he has to do. He's kicked a goal. He's running hard. He's, he's winning a couple of clearances. So he's doing exactly and he's doing what we want Paddy to do. And he's doing what we need Paddy to do if we want to move forward. You know what I mean? So Paddy Dow actually is had a good start to the year, mate.
Good start, and long may it continue, because obviously if Dow's going well and he's in our best 22, that means we're only getting better.
Exactly, man.
Keep up the good work, young man.
That's it. Up the Dow.
Up the Dow. And another young man we're going to look at, Sam Walsh. He's our player focus for this game. 31 touches, 6 marks, 3 tackles. And just behind, probably the only thing he didn't do was impact the scoreboard. Yeah. But he is another level, isn't he, Sam Walsh, already?
Love him. I love him. Another level, like, seriously. Is this his 3rd year or 2nd year?
It's coming into
2 full years, man. It's unbelievable what this bloke produces. It's absolutely unbelievable. This bloke is an absolute gun. We're talking about Dusty being a player of, a lifetime. I'm telling you, at the end of Walsh's career, we could be saying the same thing. This kid, what he produces, he's already our best player at the age of 20, and he just wills himself. You just see him; he just wills himself. And there was a couple of times, because he's not the size of Cribs, yeah. But the way he can break tackles sometimes, he's got 2 or 3 players on him and he just breaks it. He gets the handball out and he's a running machine. I would love to see, like, I'm sure you've got it somewhere, but he's, like how many Ks he ran and what kind of running patterns he does, because the bloke is an absolute machine, man.
Oh, mate, I mean, to be fair, he's another level already. I mean, I think one thing that impressed me about Sam Walsh, though, this week, without a doubt, was his intent to the ball. For someone so young, he's got just a real uncanny knack of doing the tough stuff. I think he's a team player as well. He has natural star quality. He reminds me of Pendlebury in traffic. He seems to have more time than anyone else. He just seems to have that time. You asked how far he run. On average, he runs 12.4 kilometres a game, which is only trumped by players like Tom Scully, who obviously are no longer in the competition. But last year, based on their data, 12.4 kilometres on average, only bettered by Scully and Mears. So that's phenomenal.
That is phenomenal. What's phenomenal is that you can bring up that stat real quick. That's what's fucking phenomenal, man. That's unbelievable. But you're right, man. He's a running machine. And this is why he's such a good player, because he gets to so many contests. You know what I mean?
Two-way running midfielders are in vogue in AFL at the moment. Also, the fact as well, last year he added the goals. We didn't quite see it this week, but he added the goals as well.
Yeah.
In my opinion, we talked Paul Sebastiani. My mate Terry made a big call saying Walsh for the Brownlow. That is not as stupid as it sounds, because he has got all the facets them umpires look for. He tackles hard. He's a fair player. He snags and he finds a lot of the ball. I would say he by far is Carlton's favourite to win a Brownlow.
Oh, look, and 100%, man. Like, the bloke is a machine, and he will be right up there. And I think that he would have got a Brownlow vote this week. He would have had to. You know what I mean? I mean, Dusty's getting 3. He would have got 2 or 1 guaranteed, because he was phenomenal, man. He was phenomenal.
I mean, I had him for 3 Brownlow votes up until Dusty did Dusty things. I mean, to be fair, I think he'll end up with 2 Brownlow votes. Yeah. And it'll probably be the best 2 Brownlow vote game you've ever seen.
Yeah, I agree, man. He's a gun, man. I'm just so happy that we picked him up, man. He gives me so much joy, you know. So. Well,
I mean, we've got a lot of hope for him. And next week, we turn our attention to a big game. I fucking hate Collingwood. I've got to say it. Like, honestly, you know, people get G'd up for Richmond, get G'd up for Essendon. I just fucking hate Collingwood. And I can't wait for this one. So I suppose we better go. And how do we beat Richmond? I mean, how do we beat Collingwood? So Collingwood, I don't know if you saw the game Friday night. The Doggies did very well to get up in the end. Collingwood make it tough, and that is Collingwood Football Club. Structurally, they are a very solid side, very structural, very tough to break down, and they're quite happy to let you have the ball because their ability to transition is very good. But, I mean, what did you make of Collingwood at the weekend?
Oh, fuck their shit. I hate Collingwood. They're a bunch of pricks, man. All of them. Their supporters, their team, their coach, their president. They're all a bunch of scum. I hate them, and we should punish them this week. You know what I mean? You think you hate Collingwood, right? You got no idea. Man, just think of Celtic. Think of you and Celtic, and now think of me and Collingwood. I seriously wish nothing but misery for them and everyone involved with that club. Now, what did I think of Collingwood on Friday night? They do make it hard for you. They do definitely make it hard for you. Are they that good? I didn't think so. They got definitely beaten in the middle, and I think we've got that over them, especially Williams coming back this week. I think we're going to be too tough for them in the middle. Their defence is solid, especially with Moore. Their defence is very solid. So with our forwards, we've got to be real careful, you know what I mean? So because they'll rebound real quick, especially Moore is probably the best defender going around. Again, he had another great game, you know. And their forward line, well, it's not that strong, but again, they work hard. You know what I mean? And they scrap a game, and they did that to Doggies, because Doggies really are a superior side to them. And they were in the game for most of the game, Collingwood. So, look, I think that we'll beat them, especially through our hard work through the middle and that. I think we'll beat them. That's where we're going to beat them. And if our forwards can do what they didn't do this week and kick some goals, I think that we'll beat them quite convincingly. But if we go in with that attitude, what I just thought, they're going to make it hard for us, you know. And they've had the wood on us just a little bit lately. I don't want that to creep into our mindset this week. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. And a few of the players you've mentioned are actually in the player focus for players to watch out for. So the first guy we're going to look at is none other than Darcy Moore. So Darcy Moore, he had a very good game at the weekend, as we know. He's an intercept marking genius. But, I mean, against Carlton, let's look at his numbers. 11.2 touches, 5.1 marks, 1.3 tackles. And because there was a time in Collingwood's life where they had a sense of humour and they played him forward, he averages just under a goal a game. But, I mean, nowadays, he's just 100% full-time backman. Like you say, probably one of the most prolific fullbacks in the competition. I think one of the things that is dangerous about him as well is his kicking efficiency. He kicks a lot more than he handballs, and he averages 90% kicking efficiency in the last 6 games he's played, which is high. Last week he had 350 metres gained and 4 score launches, which is huge because he stops your key forward scoring, but he turns it into attack. So he can ruin you both ways. A very clever footballer, and I hate to say it, he's pretty good.
He is very good. He's very good. And I've already talked about him, so there's not much more to say. We've got to watch him. I don't know. We got to actually make sure the ball doesn't get to him. I don't know how to stop him, but because if it does, he's going to win a lot of those one-on-one contests. You know what I mean? And the other good thing is he's actually not too bad on the ground. You know, so when the ball hits the ground, he's good at running, getting, and that's something Harry isn't good at. So you know that. Sorry about that. That's something we've got to watch. You know what I mean? So yeah, he's definitely someone we've got to worry about.
And, well, I mean, one of the beneficiaries to this guy as well, these guys linked up 6 times last week, is Braden Maynard. So this guy, you'll see him oscillate anywhere from the back left pocket up to the left wing. He's a very dangerous and tricky customer. And traditionally, he does like playing Carlton. 16.1 touches, 4 marks, 3.6 tackles, and 0.1 goals. Looking at him this week as well, he really enjoys that role. He likes being that guy that gets them going down the back. He's a bit like their Jayden Short. 6 score involvements as well from him. He really is, again, part of that system that Collingwood deploy. Very technical system they have. And he's a big part of it. And if you can stop him and you can break this chain, you're somewhere to beating them.
Yeah, I agree. He's one of the players we got to watch out for again. And, you know, like him and, well, naturally there's Pendlebury, you know what I mean? And then there's the Goey, I suppose. But, yeah, he's one of the main people that starts and finishes those links. So, yeah, we definitely got to watch out for him too, yeah.
Yeah, and it'll come down because also the last guy we're focusing for them is Jack Crisp. So we've gone with a real backline feel. We know Crispy now playing a bit more advanced in the midfield, but Jack Crisp, 22.4 touches against Carlton, 5.8 marks, 4.2 tackles, 0.3 goals. He's been a thorn in the side of the Carlton team when we've played before. Yeah. And if this year's anything to go on, we look at what he did. He did spend 51% of time in his defensive half and 49% in the attacking half. So really flowing through midfield and forward and down back now. But he's a danger as well. Very dangerous player. A guy that once he finds a bit of the ball, really gets into it. High pressure acts as well, in the 20s per game at the moment. He's a real little mongrel. Really complements Taylor Adams and Scott Pendlebury, and some guy that you've got to stop having influence if you can.
Yes, sorry, I've got an itch in the throat there. Definitely. He's one player we've got to watch too, and he against on Friday night. Again, man, you can see him. He's all over the place. So you got to really watch him, yeah. So those players that you named, especially in the midfield there, we do have to worry about them too. They're the ones that could push us and cost us, you know, because they kind of go a little bit under the radar too. I know they're important, but you don't really talk because everyone's talking about Pendlebury and they're talking about like Digoe and that, but they're the players that are really going to cut us up if we're not careful.
Oh, spot on. So, I mean, how are we going to cut them up? Who can? Well, I mean, one guy we're going to pick on is Adam Sard.
Yeah.
Adam Sard, we know that Collingwood's forwards rely heavily on their structure. Their whole game plan, Collingwood, is position. It's their structure. And one person that can break structure, who was built for it when God himself built him, was Adam Sard. 16.8 touches, 3.1 marks, 2.9 tackles. Obviously, no goals. He's a backman. But this is where it is. This is the guy that could really stretch them because he draws people. He's a very dangerous player. And if he can break through, particularly the corridor, you can see it's going to really test out Collingwood's defensive shape, their midfield shape. It can cause a bit of havoc for Carlton. So he'll be someone we're looking at getting the ball and getting into the game.
100%, man. Sard is so important to our structure, the way we play the game. Sard is so important in the way he breaks lines. And you saw it. I don't think he did enough of it against Richmond. Somehow, I don't think they released him enough. So I don't know if that's something that we'll work on. I think we'll get a lot better. But, yeah, definitely, man. And especially with that new rule, we can definitely use him as a weapon, you know what I mean, to break. And the other important thing about Sard is his disposal accuracy, yeah? Again, I think on the weekend it was in the 80s there somewhere. So the bloke can hit a target. And the other thing he does is he takes them on and he hits targets in the middle. So you see him running and then bang. He doesn't necessarily just get the ball and just kick it long. This bloke's looking for targets and he's hitting them. You know what I mean? And there were a couple of kicks there that went like on weird angles. Like I don't even know how he got his foot to the ball, but he finds someone, you know? So very, very important for us winning this game is Sard. We've got him for this reason. I think throughout the year, we'll see that we're going to use him more and more as that weapon. But, yeah, if we can break those lines, we're going to go a long way in smashing this absolute scum of a team.
100%. Very end of the table, picking on the smalls. A guy that's probably going to see a bit of Maynard is Zach Fisher. So probably going to be oscillating in that areas. And he's going to be important for two reasons. When you look at Collingwood, traditionally, it's the smalls that do damage to them. It's because obviously they've got Darcy Moore. It's the second tall. But Zach Fisher also is the pressure guy as well. You've got to stop that ability for them to kick and control the footy. They enjoy easy marks in the back. One of the sides that really do control the ball in their back half, which is the way you beat them. It's also the way they win the game, but it's also the way you beat them because they're quite happy to keep it quite defensive and bring you forwards, try and lull you into the hit over the back. And Fisher's going to be important on that because he doesn't have to tackle. He just has to put them pressure involvements. He has to be there. He has to cause that doubt and be like, do you want to take this kick on? Are you sure about that? Very important job because we know he can snag and he does like playing Collingwood. 17.5 touches, 1.3 marks, 2.5 tackles, and just under half a goal a game. He's done it before and now a full-time forward. He'll fancy his chances this weekend.
Oh, and he's, again, very important. And the way he, as you said, the way he fancy foots himself around, you know what I mean? Like he goes left, he goes right. You know, you don't know what he's going to do. He's going to be very important, and he's quick. And he got another 20-odd possessions this week. I mean, and he did have a couple of shots for goal. One hit the post, I think. So he's there and about. So he's going to be so dangerous, and they're going to really worry about Fisher. And Fisher's very important because we got the forwards there bringing it down. He's a man that's going to be at the feet of these big forwards, and once he gets the ball, he's got the perfect name, Fish, man, slippery fish, you know what I mean? Because the bloke is very hard to tackle or to even chase down.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And his namesake, Zach Williams, is the final guy we're picking on. He returns. He will make his official debut for the Carlton Blues. 21.7 touches, 2.9 marks, 5.1 tackles, and 0.1 goals against Collingwood. He traditionally likes playing Collingwood. He's known for being a thorn in their side. And he's a guy that's got that creative energy, the creative spark that can really hurt the Magpies. So traditionally, when you look at the Magpies as well, teams have to work well around the stoppages, genuinely, because they've got Grundy. Centre clearances is a no-go, but teams traditionally do well around the stoppages. If you can beat them around that stoppage area, you've got the win. So it's going to be interesting because he will be in a lot of them stoppages. We know he likes to sneak in the stoppages and kick goals. He likes to roam to other ruckmen. It's going to be an interesting standing, this.
Well, really, we haven't seen much of Williams. I mean, he was playing for GWS there, and I watched bits and pieces of him, yeah. So I've only really seen what he can do for Carlton in the practice match and that. But already what I saw is what we lacked against Richmond. You know, we lacked that other big midfielder, you know, who's going to go in and help Cribs and help. And when he did play against St Kilda, it made a huge difference to us, you know. So I'm really looking forward to his ball use and his toughness. He's like a little bulldog, you know what I mean? Like, love him, and his goal sense, you know, like he did kick 2 goals. He's very important around those clearances, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing Zach play this week badly. I think, you know, I was saying, you know, like it doesn't matter that he wasn't there against Richmond before the game. After the game, I was saying, what difference would it have been if he was there? You know, like we would have probably won some of those centre clearances, you know. So, yeah, it's going to be good to see the Zachary Williams this week.
I mean, it's going to be very exciting. I mean, it feels like a long time coming.
Yeah.
I think he's very integral to the system, like you say, and he's someone that we don't have. I think Dow showed in the snippet we showed earlier, having a bit of goal sense for them stoppages from packs, very important. We know Zach Williams has that in abundance, so be very intriguing. He's got a big job to do.
He's got a big job, and I think as I said, he's important because as soon as you put Zach in that centre, in those clearances, that brings people like Dow and those other lesser-known mids, you know, into the game. You know what I mean? Because he's doing that hard work in the middle. You know what I mean? So Dow is not relying on doing it. You know, we got Zach in there, and then you got Cribs, you know, the tough, and then you got Walsh on the outside. It's huge. Williams is huge for us, and it's gonna. I can't actually wait to watch this like clearances and these centre bounces when we've got Cribs, Williams, and Walsh in the middle for the real season. I just can't wait.
It should be good. And we've got a new segment this week. We've got, because the football's back, we can finally get into some number crunching. And we've got a section now called the Blueprint. So on your screen now, there's David Teague looking very pretty. And this is Carlton's running score of key metrics that are used to kind of deduce where a team has weaknesses. So on the bottom there is the last 2 years Collingwood Football Club and what it's taken for sides to beat them. So that is the past score there. And we can see that one of the glaring ones straight away for me is touches. Sides that beat Collingwood stop them having the ball. So traditionally they control the ball because of the way Collingwood play, a very structural system. You don't want them to be able to build things because they build things like that with their ball use.
Yep.
And that is an area that I'll hope to see, that I'm yet to see from Carlton, an ability to control the game.
Yes, I agree. And that was one of the problems with Richmond. We move quick when we're moving. We like to move the ball real quick. But there are times when we had to slow that game down and we didn't. You know what I mean? Because like a Richmond, they know when to slow it down and when they go. And I think we just haven't got that right yet. And I believe that we will get that right. That will happen. But you're right. That is one of the things that we should be watching, yeah.
But there's 2 massive green lights for me. One of them is tackle pressure. So traditionally against Collingwood, You've got to peg them back. You've got to make them rush their kicks. You saw sides that have beaten Collingwood have done very well at that, particularly in the last couple of years. Sides that put pressure on that kick down the back, make them go long, make them go to the wing, have dissected Collingwood. And that's something that traditionally Teague's team does, because they have 2 more tackles inside 50 and around within it's 50. We're 14 tackles shy of the pressure gauge, which isn't a huge thing because it doesn't take much. That is an exciting thing for Carlton because we lay the tackles. We are a tackle-heavy side. We know Teague says it's very important. That's a sign that needs to be on this weekend against these guys.
100%, man. Tackles is very important, especially for the modern game. You know, it's all about the tackle pressure. It's all about the pressure on the ball carrier. You know what I mean? Let's put pressure on. Let's tackle. And so that is very, very important. And we're going to have to be right on. And if we are, you know, that'll be one of the stats that's going to go a long way of us smashing this absolute rabble of a bloody club, right?
Well, I mean, and finally, the start that will make everyone happy is the Grundy effect. Grundy is regarded, I think, as the best ruckman, partly because of how he fits into the structure of Collingwood Football Club. And teams that do well against Collingwood, genuinely, it's the stoppage clearances. That, for me, is where Grundy is a lot more beatable, is in the stoppage clearances, because it's the team effort. It's really, you've got more freedom to stop the ball leaving. And Carlton actually averaged 27, which is the key stoppage number to beat Collingwood. And that is where, when you add Zach Williams into there, suddenly that area looks a lot stronger than it ever has done. And that is going to be a key area, particularly in forward 50 stoppages for us.
100%. I agree with that. And with Grundy, of course, it could be regarded as one of the best ruckmen going around at the moment. But I think he's a bit out of form, even end of last year. And watching that first game, English actually had the better of him, I think. You know what I mean? English is a good ruckman, you know. So it's one area that I think we can take control of. We might be getting Grundy at his worst or best time. You know, he's not doing the best. But in saying that, mate, he can just turn it on that quick. But you're right about the stoppages,
Well, I mean, we'll know, won't we? Thursday, 7 o'clock in the evening, Carlton versus Collingwood. Big game. Make sure you either get down there or find a TV, because it's a big game, isn't it? Big game, and huge. Both of us need a win.
That's huge, man. And it's, you know, like, because we're both 1-0, you know, or 0-1, you know, you don't want to be 2-0. So definitely it's a huge game, but it's also huge because I can't state this enough. They are just scum. There is no way, man. I've been going around this week punching on and having arguments with Richmond supporter, but I can't win because at the end of the day, they're too good. But I can't do this, guys. I cannot go through the next week at work listening to Collingwood supporters. So this is so important for my health. Do you understand? I cannot go through this week losing to this absolute rabble scum of a side. Can I state this any more than this? We have to beat this Collingwood, and I think we will. Are we going to give winning margins or something?
Carlton by 21.
Carlton by 65 points. If we don't smash this side, I'm going to be so disappointed, and I'll be walking out of the ground. I will definitely get arrested if we lose this game. So, Carlton by 65 points, that's my prediction.
Well, I mean, you talk about big victories. The girls got a big victory this weekend. Setting the world record for the biggest margin, and Darcy Vescio becoming the first girl to kick 40 goals in AFLW. What a win for the girls!
It was a massive win. It started a bit slow. They kicked the first 3 goals, I think? They kicked
Gold Coast dared to make a mug out of people.
Yeah, it was unusual. It was the first 3 goals. I'm thinking, oh no, like here we go. They're going to just end our finals hope right here, But they come back, and they come back hard, man. They come back hard. They tore him a new asshole, man, after that point, and Vescio comes into play. Can I just say something? I don't want to just put how do you say? I don't want to put things on me, but since I gave her should have stayed at home, she has been absolutely superb. I think she saw that. She didn't want to do it again because she kicked 5. She was absolutely looked so dangerous. She was just everywhere. She was hitting the scoreboard. That's the old Vescio. That's what we've been waiting for. So Vescio come into play. She was absolutely dominant. We absolutely smacked after that first 15 minutes or whatever. We just smashed them in every stat after that. It was, as you said, it was the highest score ever. It was Vescio's highest goals. It was the AFL's highest score. It was Carlton's highest score. Man, they just smashed every record.
Yeah, it was a complete performance. I mean, it's a shame it's happened so late in the year. Yeah. I mean, now we're hoping for a miracle next week.
And we know miracles don't happen.
Well, results didn't go quite our way this week. Melbourne absolutely destroyed their side. So, I mean, they're pretty much home and home. So now we're looking to Fremantle to do us a favour and really put one on the Kangaroos. And hopefully we put one on the Giants, and then we may sneak in. But I mean, the girls have finished strong. That's all you can do. Yeah. I mean, it's great as well to see, the development of Stevens late in the year as well. Natalie playing as well. Moody's coming to her own as well. McAvoy's really cemented the midfield spot. They've done well as the season's got late. They've really looked a good side.
Listen, when there's a 9-game year, competition, 8 game, 8 weeks or 9 weeks, 8 weeks, you can't afford any sort of lapses. And that's what happened the first 2 rounds. And now we see that Collingwood was a good side when we played them, so now, but you can't afford that. And we did. And unfortunately now we're going to pay the price. And as you said, we will need an absolute miracle. Like we would have to win by 5 million points and Melbourne has to lose by 5 million points before we can even get a chance, So, and you don't think that's going to happen. So unfortunately, and this is what I say about even the men, you've got to be careful at the start. You might say, oh, it's a game here and there, but it might cost you at the end, And as we saw with the girls, unfortunately, those couple of losses at the start cost us at the end.
Yes, spot on. And it's a little bit too late, isn't it? But, I mean, it's important that you build and you finish strong. I always think, give yourself a chance.
And they have. The last, 3 or 4 weeks has been absolutely superb. And they look everything. They look every bit a premiership side. They look every bit. And it's actually a bit unfortunate, a bit sad that we're not going to be there because I think we would have really, really done some damage, So let's hope for a miracle.
Well, I mean, it's quite an interesting because I checked your quarter-by-quarter votes. Let's get the votes out of the way. I mean, I'll tot up my ones to go. Quite interesting because for the first time ever, Pressparkis didn't feature in any quarter for me. So that is rare. So I've got 5th place, Darcy Vescio on 21, Moody 4th, 30, Harrington 31, 3rd, Egan 34, and Pressparkis leads the way 61. But you can catch her. It can be caught in the final game.
It could be. If you have a ripper game, you could be caught there. It's going to be tough. And you're right. I'll give you my votes. And you're right. Maddie didn't feature in any of my votes either. I don't think I put her in any of the quarter votes. No, I don't think I did. Did I? No. And she didn't feature her, so she didn't have a great game, but that just shows like others stepped up, which is important. She had an all right game. It wasn't like disgraceful or anything, but Maddie Standard, it wasn't that good, yeah. So my votes were this. 1 was plain, 2 was G. I think she'd done a couple little things there. That was, that passage of play where she knocked it and then they kicked that goal. That was unbelievable. I gave 3 to Moody. Moody's really finished strong. I think she's had a great year, Moody, to tell you the truth. 3. I gave 4 to Egan and 5, naturally, Vescio. You can't beat. She got a vote for every goal, so 5 to Vescio. So, yeah, so you can see my scores there. There are...
Yeah, I mean, it's looking intriguing at Rocco's medal. We've got Moody 5th, 20 votes, Vescio 4th, 21, G 22, 3rd, Egan 42, 2nd, and Prosparkis definitely can be caught, 58.
Yeah, so that's brought her real close. So let's hope for look, if Maddie wins it, she's a deserved winner, but I'd like to see Egan come up and just take it. Length of the straight, eh? We'll see what goes on.
She's got a chance.
She's had a good year too, Egan, just quietly. She's really stepped up and I really liked her year, yeah.
She's been very good, very good. And have you got any... We should have stayed at home this week.
I've always got to stay at home. There's always someone that should have stayed home. Like, let's face it. Now, it was tough again because they did really have a good game. But I'm going to have to pick someone. So this girl here, she had 75% game time, but only had 5 possessions, and a couple weren't the best, So, Hammonds. Is it Hammonds? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yep, yeah. Unfortunately, Hammonds, as I said, I watched it. I didn't really notice any of her possessions. I didn't notice she stuffed up a couple, but 75% game time with only 5 possessions. I'm thinking if she wasn't there, it wouldn't have made much difference to the 60-point win, or 50-point win. So, unfortunately, Hammond, you can maybe hold hands with O'Brien, and you should have stayed home and watched the game this week.
It's brutal, yeah. It's brutal here on the Jump Fund. Charlotte Hammonds, my darling. Yeah,
it's not an easy life, mate. This game isn't easy, mate. You're gonna cop it. You want the big bucks? You're gonna have to cop the brute of you should have stayed home, vote.
Well, I mean, definitely, yeah, you have to. I mean, with everything sad, though, we always come up with something happy. And I'm pleased to tell you we've got a double feature today on the should have stayed at home recipient who's now a superstar. So for Charlotte Hammonds, if she's watching at home, it's quite possible you go from here to the glass ceiling because Darcy Vescio...
You've got to aim for, people. This is what you have to aim for, mate.
Well, Darcy Vescio's featured twice. So, I mean, the play of the day is Carlton's second goal, and this was just absolute brilliant forward craft. She misses the mark, but it's the way she brings it to her advantage. Yep. The spin, the turn, and is there anyone in world football better at that snap around the corner than Darcy Vescio?
I'm telling you, she was exciting, and that particular goal was absolutely magical. Mate, she was so exciting. She really looked like she was so dangerous. Every time the ball went down there, she looked so dangerous, man. And she gave away a goal too. She handballed over, so she could have had 6, So, yeah, that was a really good goal. That was really exciting.
Well, it was. I mean, if we take a look as well, because she's also the feature of the player focus.
Yeah.
15 touches, 6 marks, no tackles, 5 goals, 1. And probably a variety of score involvements as well 100%. From an absolute complete game. And, I mean, it's great to see because at the start of the year, everyone was like, has she lost it? But she's finished the year strong and she's definitely still got it.
Oh, but still got it, man. She showed me up. I've given her, should have stayed at home. And she goes, right, Rocco, I'll teach you a lesson. Because not only now is she leading the goal scoring for the year. Is that correct? I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty right. And she's also now the leading goal scorer ever for the AFLW. Is that correct? On 40 or 41, 42. I think I got my stats up there somewhere, something like that. But yeah, she's absolutely finished off, and she's shown the star. She's been touted as a star from the start, and she's shown how good of a player she is. Yeah.
Definitely probably the best small forward. And I find it hard to find anyone else who will be as good a small forward as her coming up through the ranks. Absolute jet of a footballer. So well done, Darcy. Much deserved to be in the record books, and hopefully it doesn't go beaten for a while. It'd be good for her to keep that, because she deserves the accolade.
Oh, and she'll get a lot more goals. You know, she'll get a lot more goals. Yeah, she's going to be hard to beat for a while, for a long while.
Well, talking about hard to beat, Carlton have got GWS next week. Yeah. Obviously need to win that by a comfortable margin like they did this week, which will just help them out should North Melbourne slip up. I mean, at the moment, North Melbourne have a percentage of 147. Yeah. Carlton have a one of 128.1. Yeah. So it's not massively unassailable. It can be done, but GWS, obviously, they're fighting for finals too. On the unlikely event, they beat Carlton by about 2.8 million. Yeah. They could actually make the finals as well. Right. So, Carlton, hopefully, for me, they've just got to go out, play their way, finish the year strong, and come back next year, lesson learned.
That's all you can do, and that's a lesson in all sports and in footy. That's all you can do. You can go out there and do what you do. You know what I mean? You can't worry about what others have to do. And unfortunately now they have to rely on others, and you can't do that. You can't do that. We've got no control of what happens. But what we can control is what we do. Saying, you're right, let's finish off with a win. Let's finish off with a good win. Whatever happens, happens. That will set us up for next year, if anything. Yeah. So that's all we can do, and I think we're going to win.
I think Carlton will win that by 20 plus.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they're on fire and they're going to finish strong.
Oh, talking about people who finish strong, it's the 19th person.
We love this segment.
We've had some great recipients of this one. Tracy Reid was last week. As usual, absolute darling of a human being. This week, I don't know if I've cheated, but screw it. It's our reward. I'll do what I want.
We do what we want, mate.
Giving it to Shad Watson. Shad, for those who don't know, is the reason behind our live streams on tonight, which you'll see me on, the Friday night, assertive media owner, but he's also a huge Carlton fan. But the wonderful thing about Shad is he donates all that to us for free, no penny, nothing paid. That's just pure love, and that's because he loves sharing the message, loves interacting. He's an absolute stellar human being as well. He's got time for everyone, and I love Shad to pieces. So, Shad, this one's for you, baby.
Well done, Chad. We love it, man. The 19th person. And you're right, he does do a lot of work, and he gets everything together, and he donates his studio and all his time for this. So he's what the 19th person is. We're trying to get a message out there. We're trying to build a community. We're trying to win a premiership. And for that to happen, everybody's got to put in. This is what we've come up with, or mainly Danny came up with this idea. The 19th person, we're going to keep pushing it until the Blues understand that the 19th jumper has to be high. It's going to be given to the fans, right? And this week is a good pick with Shad. Well done, mate, and keep up the good work.
Great work. And I suppose we finish with what we're famous for, Rocco's Rant. What have you got for me this week?
Well, Rocco's Rants. Listen, there could have been a million things I could have ranted about this week. I mean, the footy's back, but how can we go past the umpires? We're going to rant. I'm telling you now, the rant might be about the umpires every single week, the way things are going. But let's talk about the obvious here, the Carlton game. Now, let's talk about the obvious now. That deliberate, right? That deliberate. I don't understand what the rules are. I must be missing something, because how can that be deliberate? Now, I understand, I've heard their explanation. It was inside the square or whatever it was. That is ridiculous. If you watch that in slow-mo, Jones is running, right? And he's trying to tap the ball so he can get a clear possession, right? You could see it. It happens a million times during the game. Everyone's running. You just don't go, the ball bounces everywhere. So you try to tap it so it bounces up in your hands and you can run onto it. And he did that. He did that. Even when he tapped it, he was stretching out forward. He was trying to tap it. And you give that deliberate. That is not an understanding of the fucking game, guys. That is ruining the... I'm telling you, I was absolutely shocked. I stood there at the ground with my mouth open for like 5 minutes. I just could... Lucky they didn't score a goal out of it. But still, that's not the point. That could cost someone's final, it could cost someone's job because you don't understand the game. And then Richmond, who was it? Was it that big baboon of a ruckman who walked it through? He was in less pressure. That is ridiculous. That is a ridiculous... Get your job right. And then the deliberate, in that same quarter, there were 2 deliberates on the boundary. Mate, the one from, I think it was Wiedering. Oh, my God. He had like 8 Richmond players on him. He's trying to get rid of the ball outside of that 50. And he goes towards it. What did you want him to do? Oh, wait a sec. While I got people trying to kill me, I'll try to find a player. Are you serious? This rule is ridiculous. Why don't we bring it? They do it in the girls. Why don't we just bring the last person, kick it out then? Why don't we bring that rule in? Why are we leaving it to umpires to determine if it's deliberate or not? Because I'll tell you now that 90% of the time it's fucking deliberate. What? Because now you've got to be an actor. Now we've got to be an actor to be a footballer. Because not only that decision, which is fucking ridiculous, it's also the decision of holding the ball. What's that bullshit you're trying to... You know you're not trying to get the ball out, but you've got to act like it. So now what we're going to have to do is, when we recruit these players, we're going to have to go and send them to acting school so we can get away with these free kicks. It's bloody ridiculous, man. Earn your money. Start to understand what the game is about.
No, spot on. I mean, it has been very inconsistent this weekend. I think as well, not just Carlton games.
It was
the
others.
games I've watched. It seems to... I just feel like there's a lot of... Sometimes I feel sorry for the umpires because I feel like they've changed the rules too much. Yeah. Like I'd hate to be an umpire because this new rule, you've got deliberate, the ruck nominations. Just talking specifically about this rant though, they rushed behind deliberate, which are the Clarkson rule, as I like to call it. That is mad because to me, like if you look at the Doc one, Doc got pinned for deliberately rushing it behind, nearly got pinned. One of the umpires gave it and the other umpire overruled it.
Yep.
Now, that was... Then he got pinged for it. You're always under pressure with Richmond.
Oh.
You always are. Like, and to me, that rule, if it's by its definition, it's what the umpire deems sufficient pressure to force you going behind. He should know at Richmond... You are always under pressure.
Yeah.
They can tackle you from just about anywhere.
Yep.
And what I found weird about the one that was paid when Doc went deliberately out of bounds when he walked it over was he was touched by Castagna as he goes over the line. Like, Nankervis, I was the closest person to him.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, and
you were at home.
He didn't even run across it.
He just stepped back.
Like, I've walked in my front door with more vigour than he did.
That's 100%, man. I'm telling you, it was bad. And I'm telling you that this has got to stop. You've got to understand why this rule was brought out. It was for a final, a Hawthorn. I think it might have been Hodge who ran it back 2 or 3 times to save time, to waste some time. That's what the rule was there for that. But not for, like, I'm telling you, man, how can you pay that? How can you pay that? He should be sent back to not only the reserves, he should be sent back to the Big M Little League, as we used to call it, because that is a disgrace. You just want your face on camera. It should be taken out. This deliberate is ridiculous, man. This is just ridiculous, man. I don't want to be talking about this all year, but stop it.
It's a tough rule, and it's a rule that I can see we're going to be talking about all year.
Yeah, and this is the problem. We're all year. I know it's a bit of fun, and we get like revved up about it and that. But seriously, we want to see goals, marks. We don't want to be talking about this. But unfortunately, umpires. It could be. I might just start calling it the umpires rant, because I reckon it's going to be a rule every week. So we'll see how we go. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that is all we've got time for. We'll be back next week, bringing you the final votes for the AFLW. And obviously all your coverage of Collingwood, Carlton. Till next time, go Blues.
Go Blues.